All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, 15th day of September,
You're
2016.
listening to CFRN, a community of
There's the
believers.
intro file.
To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Going to try that all again. Today is Thursday, 15th day of September, 2016. Never a dull day here. That's for sure. All right, let's take a quick look at the numbers. We'll start here in the U.S. These are cash markets. The Dow Jones Industrials are up 131 points. The NASDAQ is up 57. S&P 500 is up 16. The Russell 2000 is up 12. In our commodity basket, crude oil is up 53 cents. Gold, on the other hand, is down $3.60. Turning to Asia, the Nikkei is down 209 points. That's a little over 1%. Shanghai is down 20. That's a little over half of 1%. And the Hang Seng is up today, 144 points, and that's a little over half of 1%. Last but not least, Europe is green wall to wall. The DAX is up 52 points. The FTSE is up 56 points. And the CAC is up 3. Now the FTSE, that's almost 1%. So Europe's green, Asia's mixed, and the U.S. is as green as it gets. So, happy Thursday to you. If you are joining us for the very first time, you do have the option of viewing the charts that we display during the radio broadcast. If you would like to view the charts, simply go to our homepage at CFRN.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. It'll take you to a page that says Watch Live Now. Just click that, fill out the registration form, takes you 30 seconds, and you'll be able to see the charts not only today, but every day for the rest of the month. Come 1st of October, we all register again. So it's one registration, 30 seconds for 30 days. We're glad to have you with us. If you're returning, of course, welcome back. We're so glad to have you as well. And we're going to go straight to Michael and get a recap of everything that happened in the live trading room today. We have a special guest joining us at the top of the hour, Mr. Andrew Hanauer from Jubilee, USA. These folks follow debt-ridden countries, poverty scenarios, and are actually advisors to the Vatican Council. So there's trouble in Mozambique. Well, we're going to hear about it firsthand today, and you're probably wondering what the heck's that got to do with me. Well, stick around to the top of the hour, and you'll find out. Michael, take it away.
Recap up. Here it is. Here it is. All right, here we go. I'm going to hit start. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 15th day of September 2016. So we are halfway through the month of September. I think, are there just 30 days this month? There are. All right, so far. Today, we made 1 tick in soybeans, we made 8 ticks in the euro, we made 16 in crude, and 30 in gold. So on the day, we're up $522.50. Let's just take a look. Yeah. Today, we got our goal in 6 minutes on our first trade. We were up $300 a contract on that one. It was a gold trade. We took a total of 12 trades today. Okay, so on the month now, we're up $1,771. That's over 10 trading days. And we're averaging $177 a day. If you were to apply an $8 commission to every trade we've taken so far, you'd have a net profit of $659, and with a $5 commission, you'd have a net profit of $1,076. That's on the month. Okay, on the month. This column way over here is the average gain. I don't know if you guys can see that. See, average gain per trade. Okay, average gain per trade. Average gross profit per trade is what it is. Anyway, you guys can all go look at the spreadsheet whenever you want. Our yearly total, now we're up to $42,616. That's over 174 trading days, and we're averaging $244 a day on the year. $244 a day. Okay. And let's go here. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the home page at CFRN.net. And in the right-hand column where it says register for a free trial, put in your name, put in your email, click on register for a free trial. When you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click that confirmation link, you will not get a free trial. You must click that link. Okay, that is all of that. Now, I'm going to show you the YM, but we didn't trade it. Okay, YM was just, well, it had some activity today. It was bouncing around quite a bit. Had some good activity, but we did not trade it today. Okay, look at this coming into the break right here. It was really nice. Had some short trades here during the break. some opportunities to take a little bit of profit in there. Okay, but we'll get into the gold here, which we did actually trade. We only traded it a couple times though. The first one was right here. This was like right when we got in this morning. Took 30 ticks profit on that trade right there. That was where we got our goal for the day. The next one that we traded was right over here. Got a break even on that. Then I was showing the trade setups this morning when this happened, and I missed a couple of trades on that move. Let's see, there was one more short right here, and then we went into the break. Okay, and that was pretty much it. All right, so that was it for gold. We were plus 30 ticks on gold. Now on the ES, I believe I showed a couple of trades. Yeah, there was a long right here. That would have been a break-even trade. Went sideways forever. A long down here, that would have worked out just fine. A long right here, that would have been a break-even. And that was about it for the ES. Now the crude oil. Today is Thursday, so we had crude inventories yesterday. We had natural gas inventories today. Our first trade on crude was right in here. I thought we were going to stop out on it. It came up and almost stopped us out a couple times, but I ended up getting a break even on that one. And then the next trade, I'm just looking to see where, yeah, the next trade was a break even. Then we had 3 ticks profit on this one. 1 tick profit on that one, putting us at plus 4. Then something's missing. I think on this one here we had 3 ticks profit right here. Then we had a break even. Then we had 1 tick profit there, putting us at plus 4. Then we had 2 ticks profit there, putting us at plus 6, and 10 there, putting us at 16, with a break even right there. I missed a couple of trades right here though. Okay, Roberta. I'll go look at it in a minute. Okay. All right. During the break, there was a short trade there and another one there. A long trade there and another one right there. And that was it for crude. We were plus 16 on crude today. Soybeans, we had just a couple of trades. We had this one here that was a break even, and this one where we took 1 tick profit. Okay, nothing really during the break on the beans. And on the euro, yeah, I didn't mark the trade that we took on the euro, but we got 8 ticks profit on it. I think it was here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was right in here. No, wait, because we didn't pull away from the BBC. So it would have had to have been somewhere else. I don't remember where it was. It's probably up here. Okay. Well, we got 8 ticks profit on the 1 trade we took on the euro. The euro has a short trade right here. Right now. And that is it for those. Roberta, here, let's take a look at what you said. 39. Well, depending on what time frame you're looking at, Roberta, your stop would have to be below this level right here. Okay, probably below the weekly trading zone is what I would say. Okay, depending on what time frame you're looking at. I would say somewhere below the weekly trading zone. Okay. All right, so next. We are back here. Okay. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the home page at CFRN.net, and right in the right-hand column here it says register for a free trial. Click on this right here, put in your name, put in your email, then click register for a free trial. When you do that, you will be sent a confirmation link. You must confirm. Okay, if you don't confirm, we don't know you took the trial. So you gotta hit that confirmation link. Back to the recap. Here it is. Okay, Today, in soybeans, we made 1 tick profit. In the euro, we made 8. In crude oil, we made 16. In gold, we made 30. So on the day, we're up 522.50. Took us 6 minutes and 1 trade to get to the goal today, and we were up a total, we took a total of 12 trades. So on the month now, we're up 1771.25. That's over 10 trading days, averaging $177 a day. Okay, on the year, we're up $42,616. That's over 174 trading days, averaging $244 a day. Now that's all with 1 contract. Okay, 1 contract, 2 hours a day. All right, and that's it. With that, I am going to hit stop recording, and we can head back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona.
All right.
If you are ready.
Yep. Phoenix on the line.
Push them over. There you go. Reminder, there is a partners meeting tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you are not a partner yet, you have to become a partner to get into that meeting. And if you are a partner, just a reminder for you. If you have any questions, email them in ahead of time. Okay.
All right. And the recap of the recap was?
Today it took 6 minutes and 1 trade to get to $300 a contract.
Outstanding.
Yes, gold just collapsed. And I answered all the questions in the box.
Okay. Very good. Right. Okay, this is the S&P 500 Emini Futures. We've had a pretty nice little climb this morning from the swing low overnight. This blue line, I'll remind you, represents not a weekly trading zone, but it's the high of 2015. Not the close of 2015, but the high of 2015. Now, we've battled with that number most of the week. Last night, need to get logged in. Did you hear an unusual noise in the background?
No. Nope.
Must be on my end.
Yeah, my mic was off, so I don't think it was coming from here.
No, it was like I guess a doorbell's not a very good analogy, but yeah, I guess it sounded kind of like a doorbell. Okay. I'm just getting logged in, guys, so that I can go to the Concierge Trade Alerts from last night. And we'll just take a look at the S&P real quick, and then later in the show we'll take a look at all of them. Last night the instructions were to, well, let's get the time straight. The alerts went out at 9:15, so that's 21:15. So we're going to call that 21:30, because this is a 30-minute chart. Oh, the big sell-off right there. Now, again, let me say the alerts went out 15 minutes before the candle started. I could go to a 15-minute chart and hit it right on the head, but we're not going to do that. So I always try to get them out at 9. You know, sometimes it's very late and sometimes it's very early, and rarely is it exactly 9, but that's always the time that I strive for. Okay, this is what we were looking to do. We were looking to be sellers 21.11. Buyers at 21.23. So we were looking for a relatively wide range day. Now, 21.11 comes in right about here. To 111. So 2111. Okay. Now the swing low was 2107.75. So that gave us 3.25 points. So anyone looking to just pick up their 2 points for the day, make $100, and call it a day, you had an opportunity to do that in the first half hour. I'm sorry, in the first hour that you received your alerts last night. Now, for those who aren't trading at 9 p.m. in the evening, we had a little something for you on the buy side, and that was to be long, or to be a buyer at, oh, I'm not going to make that mistake today. I'm going to, this is quite a process, retraining yourself after so many years. Copy. Paste. There we go. 21.23. Actually, I'm going to need a little longer line than that. Okay. Right, 21.23. Let's copy that line again. I don't think I clicked it first. There we go. So buyers at 21.23. Now what becomes important is which trades are tradable, what's doable. We get into that in the individualized personal mentoring sessions. So when you take the trial, the Concierge Trade Alert trial, and spend a week following along, seeing all of the opportunities that present themselves, as you become a Concierge client, then you and I spend one-on-one time in private mentoring sessions, and I help you learn to read the chart, because there'll be trades that you take, trades that you don't take. The ones you don't take, I call those the walkaways. In other words, yes, it triggered, but the amount of risk required to participate in the trade just isn't worth it. Now, because I send you 8 markets each night, 2 trades per market, a total of 16 trades, what that does is it allows you to be quite selective in the trades that you do take. Okay? Remember, one nice trade and your day is made. As we're coming up here, yes, Mike?
I just didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted you to take a look at the gold. The daily double was to short 1322.
Oh, you know, and I see that it has popped up on my, not my big screen, but on the small monitor. Did you just send me a message? Or, oh, you
I
just
sent-
sent out a
I
message.
sent everybody a message. I said to move the stop to break even once we had 10 ticks in, and to lock in 300.
Okay, so on the daily double, now the daily double, guys, that's a product different than what I'm going over right now, the Concierge Trade Alerts. And for anyone that's new to the show, I can see where it would easily become somewhat confusing for you. So let me do this. Watch what I type in, emini.cfrn.net. Okay, so all you got to remember. It's going to take you to this page. Right here, this talks about the Concierge Trade Alerts, which I'm going over right now in the S&P. Here's the long story, and here's the get to the point and let me take the trial for $1. I don't come cheap, so I charge a whole $1 for you to take the trial and for me to spend one-on-one time with you. Okay, so click this, takes you to the page, pay the man the $1, and what will happen is once you officially subscribe, you're taking a trial, you're paying $1 to get 8 markets, 2 trades per day, 5 consecutive trading days in a row. Okay? Now, at the end of your trial, you have an opportunity to make a decision. Is this worth what they're trying to charge me? Or can I do better on my own? I think by the time we're done going through the alerts for today, for the price we charge, basically we're doing the heavy lifting. You still have to think, okay? If you're, I just want to say, if you're looking for that, you know, crystal ball, that easy money thing, that is a torturous and expensive journey, okay? So our primary goal is we really want to teach you how to trade. And in the beginning, the only product that we offered was the live trading room, which became the mentoring program where we spend 90 days with you, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, teaching you how to trade. When your 90 days are up, you own the indicator set for life. But many wanted to stay active. They wanted to be a part of the group, part of the community. And so for minimal monthly fee, you can in fact do that. You can remain connected at the hip to the entire group. Come to the trading room any day you want. Come to the workshops. Have access to the weekly trading zones, which we're going to be changing here in a moment because today is Thursday, and Thursday is typically the day that I reveal the weekly trading zones to the public. The partners receive the weekly trading zones every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. So I said all that to say this. Our primary mission at CFRN is to teach you how to trade. Having these numbers are awesome. Like I say, we do the heavy lifting for you. I've done the research. I found the areas where price is most apt to be drawn to, and important prices, important areas are almost always tested. However, without a basic understanding of how to trade, it's almost like handing a child a switchblade and telling him to go out in the yard and, you know, have a little fun. So what I really want to encourage you to do is I want you to take a look at the Concierge Trade Alerts, because that one gives you the best of both worlds at the same time. You're not only being taught how to trade in the live trading room, you not only have access to unlimited one-on-one mentoring, but you also get the Concierge Trade Alerts each and every night in your inbox. Okay, so an opportunity to earn as you learn. All of our products are good. all of our products are designed to not just separate you from your money, but to help you. Unbelievable. I just got a text message from Facebook. Today's my mom's birthday. All right. So here's how you take it. You're going to go to this page. Okay. Take care of business there. Once you do that, I want you to send me an email. Dwayne, I just signed up for the Concierge Trade Alert trial because I want to send you a video how to trade the Concierge Trade Alerts. And then from there, you and I'll work out what day we're going to get together, spend a half hour, 45 minutes, helping you better understand what the numbers represent and what you're supposed to do with them. Okay? There's also the daily double free trial. If you click this link, it will explain everything you need to know. The live trading room I've already talked about. And then there's the one trade a day. Each of these products, beyond the live trading room and the mentoring program, these are products that we brought to market by popular request. People kept hounding us, I work, I want to learn how to trade, I'll do anything. Isn't there some way that you can help me so that I could at least get a toehold in here and kind of get going, And so it was out of the needs of different groups of individuals that the other products came into being. In the beginning, we thought it was going to be just a live trading room and, mentoring, and that would pretty much be it. But the people spoke and we responded. And that's something we'll always try to do. Whatever benefits the community, Michael and I will do the best that we can to respond to that need. Now, I've said this all along, and I'll say it again, because it's true. It's a beautiful thing about the truth. You can say it over and over. It never gets old because it's always true, and you never forget it because it's always true. Sometimes you won't like what we tell you, but we will always tell you the truth. And in this business of Wall Street, it's a slippery slope, and you all know what I mean. I don't have to go any further. I don't have to call any names. I don't have to point out any specifics. One thing will be, we may not be the best traders, we may not be the tallest, any of that, but we'll always be honest and transparent with you. We will share with you the knowledge that we have and the tools that we have, and we'll teach you how to use those tools. Now, together, Michael and I, we, like most traders, we spend an awful lot of time and an awful lot of money chasing an awful lot of stuff that didn't make us any money. But our suffering, our pain is your gain. You don't have to go through the same trial and error stuff that Michael and I went through. You can cut to the chase and actually become a productive trader sooner than later. There is no get rich quick. If that's what you're looking for, it's completely the wrong place for you. You can still come and hang out on the radio with us, but here we start out slow, we trade small, we use aggressive risk management. Our goal is to have you at 4 contracts within 6 months. Now, what does that mean? Well, to an experienced trader, they know what it means. But to someone who's new, 4 contracts, if you're trading 4 contracts and making $100 a day per contract, which is what we teach you how to do. Now, see, whereas some entities fill your head with unrealistic expectations. We say we're going to teach you how to make $100 a day. Well, that doesn't exactly make a chill run down your leg, okay? But if you can arrive, earn your way, not buy your way, but earn your way to 4 contracts in 6 months, that means you're grossing $400 a day, and on a 5-day week, you're grossing $2,000. That's before commissions. Now, even if it takes you 10 trades a day to reach that $100 goal, once you pay your commissions, you're still left with close to $1,000. Now, we certainly hope it won't take you 10 trades every day. How many trades did it take you today, Michael, to reach your daily goal?
1.
Okay, but yesterday it took a few more. It took, I think, 8 or 9, right?
Yesterday, let me see my sheet. Yesterday, that's not the right sheet. Hang on, let me go look at the recap, and I can tell you exactly. I have it all right here. Yesterday, it took 8 trades, 75 minutes. Yesterday.
I'm sorry, say that again?
8 trades in 75 minutes yesterday. Today it was 1 trade in 6 minutes. So, on average, it's taken 6.5 trades so far this month.
If you learn to make $100 a day in 10 trades or less, then you have arrived, okay? Now, Michael is handicapped to a degree in that he's not simply trading. He's not simply focused on getting his goal for the day. He's got people asking questions, and if you think you feel nervous when you trade real money, imagine trading real money with hundreds and hundreds of eyeballs staring down your neck and over your shoulder and try to sit in your lap. You know, it is a struggle. So you'll find that on average, I think, most of the people that I talk with, most of the people that I mentor, somewhere between 3 to 5 trades. But the good news is, even if it takes you 10 every day, the 24/20 blueprint is based on the principle of it taking you 10 trades a day to make $100. So back to the 4 contracts. If in fact you're grossing $400 a day, if in fact you're grossing $2,000 a week inside of 6 months, there's not too many jobs that you can go to and inside of 6 months earn that kind of money. Now, the trade-off is that trading is risky. You can lose all of your money and then some. In fact, I dare say you will lose all of your money unless you get an education. Now, you don't have to get it from us, but you better get one somewhere. Either you're going to pay someone to mentor you and teach you and train you and care for you, or you're going to pay the market to teach you. And that's the most expensive lesson of all. I'm just going to start throwing money at the market, and I'm going to figure this thing out. It's the long way around the mountain, and it is the expensive way around the mountain. So make sure you pick someone that you can have confidence in. You're going to talk to a licensed investment professional before you trade real money. Anyway, that's part of the disclaimer. Always check with a licensed investment professional before making any investment decision. Blah, blah. Well, in order to open an account, you're going to have to talk to someone. Now, there's a broker on every corner. The guys that we do business with, Daniel's Trading, We have built a relationship with them over the years. The platform that I use here on the radio program and that Michael uses in the live trading room is provided by Daniels Trading. If you would like to take a demo of their platform, you can do so by dialing 866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Okay. Now, remember emini.cfrn.net. emini.cfrn.net. Okay. As soon as you hit enter, it changes into an URL that you can't remember. But there are links that tell you about each one of the products. Okay. So enough of that. Let me point out that from 2123, we traveled up to 2138. So from 23 to 38, that's 15 points. 15 points available per contract. Now, if you're trading our 2420 blueprint, your goal is simply $100 a day. That's 2 points. The S&P pays $50 per point. So if you decided to trade last night, you had an opportunity to pick up 3¼ points. Although we never get out at the exact swing low or the exact swing high. Why? Because we trail our stop. Now, when you're brand new, we're going to teach you to use a hard target because we want you to become accustomed to the feel of being consistently profitable on a daily basis. We don't want it to come as a big surprise that you actually were profitable on the day. We want it to become simply a way of life. How was your day today, honey? It was fine. Did you meet your goal? Yes. Thanks for asking. What's for dinner? It's that simple. Pretty soon she'll even stop asking, or he'll stop asking, if you got your goal for the day. It's not easy, but it can be simple. So 15 times 50, what is that, Michael? $750?
15 times 50.
15 times
yes,
50.
Yes, that is,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's $750 per contract available. Okay. $750 per contract available. Okay. Now, if, for instance, you have actually earned your way up to those 4 contracts that I was talking about, the 2420 blueprint is designed to take you from 1 to 20 contracts in 24 months. For some people, that's a little too fast. They need more time to get acclimated and accustomed to the various levels as you add contracts. But let's say in 6 months you do make it to, you do earn, see, you have to earn the right to trade each new contract. You start out with 1 after you pass a test that shows you understand the strategy and it's safe for you to step out into the markets with live money. You use the profits that you generate with the 1 contract to underwrite the 2nd, to then underwrite the 3rd, to then underwrite the 4th. So you have every right in the world to be trading 4 contracts because you earned your way there. You didn't buy your way in. You didn't just show up with some money you took out of the IRA or the 401k. You earned your way there. You're growing your business. You're bootstrapping. You're growing your business internally with profits that you earned in the market. I'm telling you, that in and of itself makes all the difference in the world. Now, at $100 a day, we know that that's $400. But as you become an accomplished trader, as you move beyond our mentoring program, Now, you may still choose to stay connected at the hip and come to the meetings just for the camaraderie, to have people to hang out with. But on this 15-point move here, what if you had taken 10 points out of that? Okay. Well, 10 points at $50 a point is $500. Times 4 contracts is $2,000. Well, you already said $2,000. Yeah, but that was a week. I'm talking about a day. If you only caught 10 of these 15. Now, when you reach that level of trading, okay, the compounding factor, Einstein said that compounding is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. And you'll start to get the hang of that, because for a 10 contract trader, that would be a $2,000 day. For a 10 contract trader, 2 points is $1,000 a day. But again, trading is risky. You can lose all of your money and then some. You will get an education somewhere, either from someone you can trust or from the market. Okay? All right. So you kind of understand everything you need to know about who we are, what we offer, where to go to get more information. We've got a guest showing up here in just about a minute. And as a radio professional, I bet he's probably going to be on time. Now, when I come, as soon as we finish this discussion with him, and Bert and Leslie, if you guys could be standing by to patch him in, he should be showing up momentarily. We're going to talk about what it means to give to others. Last couple days we've been talking about spending more time with your family. That's important. We've been talking about when does trouble show up? When does the enemy come? When you're not expecting it. He catches you at a weak moment when you're riding high on your last success. Your defenses are down and you become easy prey for this roaring lion who's seeking who he can devour. So that's when you need to be on guard more than any other time, is when you've experienced a success in your life. Now, I'm not going to get into today's good word until, because I don't want to break it up. But today we're going to be talking about giving to others. And you might say, man, I'm barely scraping by myself. How in the world am I supposed to give to others? It's one of those crazy things about the universe, and I hope I can convey, I hope that the Holy Spirit can convey through me the message that I want to share. How you can go from a poverty mentality to a mentality of abundance. And our guest has arrived, and let me bring his picture back up on the screen. It's always nice to be able to see who you're talking to. Let's find him right here. Jubilee, USA.
Hey, Dwayne. Hello.
Hello, Bert.
Hi, Dwayne.
Hi, Bert.
Andrew with us.
Thank you so much for putting him through. Andrew, I'd like to personally welcome you to CFRN. The last time I spoke with you folks over at Jubilee, I had the pleasure of speaking with Eric LeCompte. He's your executive director.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming. And of course, I have your picture up on the screen so everybody has sort of an idea. Is that the Capitol you're standing in front of?
It is, yeah.
Wow. That makes you feel important, right?
Well, it's also convenient. We're very fortunate to be located just a couple blocks from the Capitol in a church that's housed us since we were founded. So we're very close.
Well, when Jubilee reached out to me a few days ago, they asked if I would be willing to have Eric back on the show again, and I said, yeah, absolutely. There's always an open door because we have a tremendous amount of respect for the work that you folks do at Jubilee, and I know that we have members of the audience present today who were not present the last time Eric was here. Could you give us sort of a thumbnail sketch of who and what Jubilee USA is, what your mission statement is, and then we'll get into this situation in Mozambique.
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for the kind words. I really appreciate that. Jubilee USA was founded by Pope John Paul and other religious leaders in the 1990s, really on the premise of how do we take Scripture and the way that Scripture addresses the issue of our economy and apply it to the real world. So how do we take the Jubilee of the Bible, which is this concept of basically a system of accountability and transparency and ways to sort of keep the economy based on the right relationships, and how do we apply that to the world that we live in today? So our work has focused on building an economy that helps and serves the most vulnerable, but also an economy that's built on accountability and principles of transparency and responsible finance. And so our work is focused on issues like debt in poor countries.
Mm-hmm.
How do we both relieve that debt when necessary, but also prevent countries from falling into cycles of debt? How do we promote responsible lending and borrowing and public budget transparency and all these issues that really make sure that money goes where it's supposed to go and helps people who are suffering?
I'm trying to think of the name of the book that I read a number of years ago. It's actually a Muslim man who began the first micro-lending organization, and for the life of me, it was a great book. It told his life story and how he became involved with micro-lending. And see, we have an orphanage in Africa with 700 kids, and it's not just an orphanage, but a school as well. And we have some very bright kids there, and many of them go on to university. But what's unfortunate is we are graduating these highly intelligent young men and women into an economy that has no jobs.
Right. Yeah. Well, and first of all, I mean that's fantastic that you're doing that.
Well, thank you. But it's heartbreaking that this young. You look into the eyes of a young man who has, number one, lost his parents to the ravages of AIDS, but he's so thankful that he has grown up with people who care about him and love him, and he has done what he felt was his rightful duty, and that was to, work hard, study hard, get good grades, and graduate, many of them with honors. And then they look to us and say, now what? What next? And it's heartbreaking when you don't have a what next. I can't tell you how many degreed individuals there are in Africa. Maybe you already know this. I mean, you probably do because of the work that you do, that are digging ditches for a living, earning $1 a day. What an incredible waste of talent, intellect, and we have struggled. When we first began our work there back in 2000, we thought, or actually, yeah, 2000, we thought the answer was to write a check. And so we wrote a lot of checks. And then it finally dawned on us that, you know, the British started doing that long before we did, when colonialism was reigning. And that's not the answer to the problem. Just writing checks is not the solution to the problem.
Right.
Because when a man is given money to support his family, that's social welfare, and I don't care if it's in America, the SNAP program, or whatever it might be in any other country. Most third world countries have no such program. But a man changes when he has a job, when he has a paycheck, when he is able to provide for his family. He stands a little straighter. There is a sense of pride, and I mean pride in a good way, that he knows he's being a successful member of his community, his society, and those around him begin to look to him for leadership and for guidance. It's just an absolutely wonderful thing to see happen, but we see it happen, you know, far too little.
Right.
Now tell us
yeah.
specifically what's happening, what's going on in Mozambique right now. I know that's, the last time I spoke with Eric, there was a big focus on Puerto Rico. In fact, I think that's where he was headed. He had just been at some kind of conference that was held in Washington, D.C., or maybe it was in New York City, and he was leaving there. He might have been going to a meeting at the IMF to discuss the Puerto Rico issue, but tell us the purpose of them contacting me the other day and saying, can Eric come back on the show and tell your audience about what's happening in Mozambique? Tell us, what is happening?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to, if I may, briefly add to what you were speaking about a moment ago, and it's a personal thing for me as well. I used to be involved in an orphanage in Africa where you had 22 children and 4 beds. And it's just heartbreaking. And I think Jubilee's work is, you know, I think when we got started, our principal issue was to cancel debt for the poorest countries in the world, including, you know, a great number of countries in Africa. And that debt relief victories, those debt relief victories that we won, had a significant impact on allowing countries to fund public education and send kids back to school. And I think, just as you're saying, that's I think an important first step, but I think just as you were saying, you know, we have to actually get at the structures and the systems that really cause these problems in the first place. And so, you know, debt relief is an important part of short-term assistance in emergency situations, but long-term, we have to actually address the structures that cause debt, and then that's what we have to get at.
You know,
and that really brings us...
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt, but as I was talking, I lost my train of thought for a moment. When you become a man of a certain age, that will happen to you too. So, just a little something for you to look forward to. When I was very excited about the whole concept of micro lending, and for those who don't know, in a third world country, often a micro loan of, say, $100 can allow an individual to start some small business of any kind and description. You'd be amazed at the things people can do with $100, with $200, and not only provide for their family, but start to build generational wealth that can pass from generation to generation. But I recently read an article that some of these micro lenders have started to use some of the same predatory lending practices that we find in these payday loan stores here in the U.S., which is a huge problem it's a debt trap. People get trapped in a cycle of debt that they simply can't escape unless they win the lottery. And I don't advocate them buying lottery tickets by any stretch. So, are you familiar? Are you familiar with this? Is this something that's been put on your radar screen yet?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on microloans, but I'm sorry to hear that that's happening. We do work on the payday loan issue, and I think the church in general, the broader church, Christians of all types, have been very outspoken about the predatory nature of many of these payday loans, and that ranges from the Southern Baptist Convention to
the Church of England. As the Church of England has really taken this bull by the horns.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a huge crisis. And it's, again, I think for us, when we think about what it means to try to create a biblical economy, we don't want to just hand out free money. We want to invest in people and communities, and we want to loan money responsibly. But you want to invest in people.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love that.
exactly.
Love that term.
Not extract profit from them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big concern. I think the payday lending issue is one that we're very much active on.
Now, is the root of the problem in Mozambique greed and corruption, as it is in so many third world countries?
Well, I think corruption is a big concern. So what we have in Mozambique is a country, that has gone through years of civil war. It has one of the highest poverty rates and concentrations in the world. It's got a 54% poverty rate, and it's according to the UN, it's the 9th least developed country in the world. But I think, like in many of these cases, that we're really talking about not just irresponsible borrowing, but also potentially irresponsible lending. So we have money that was loaned that was supposed to go to build a fishing fleet or fishing boats for tuna fishing. It appears that some of that money may have been misdirected and used for military financing, and that an additional amount of money was loaned by two banks to Mozambique, but kept off the records, not disclosed to investors and financial institutions.
Now that's to the tune of 1.4 billion, correct?
I believe the total is over $1 billion, and we've seen different figures from different sources, but it's something along the lines of 1.4 billion or even higher. And this is a huge issue. So once that was disclosed, that this debt had been hidden from creditors and financial institutions, both the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank immediately suspended loan payments and things that they had been doing to assist Mozambique. And the IMF is now insisting that Mozambique have a complete audit of its debt before it would continue to loan money. And so the news today, which I think is relevant and why we were reaching out about this issue, is that the president of Mozambique is today in Washington meeting with the head of the IMF and the head of the World Bank, as well as Secretary of State John Kerry and others.
For those who are actually logged in via the internet, I'm going to put a picture up on the screen, guys. This is a gentleman in Mozambique climbing down, a gold miner climbing down into a mine shaft. Now, I know that you're not in I don't think you're not in a position to see the picture, but guys, can you imagine? Can you imagine climbing down into that hole every day to eke out a living? What's the average pay for one of these laborers in Mozambique? Is it even $1 a day?
I don't know exactly. I think, the average amount of money per day for people living in extreme poverty is $1.25.
$1.25. Okay.
But the average has one of the lowest per capita GDPs in the world. Mozambique, it's about $585 per person.
I found the article reported by the Financial Times of the controversy involving a state-backed $850 million bond that was ostensibly used to set up a tuna fishing company. However, $500 million of the debt was spent on naval vessels and other security equipment. And now the S&P Global Ratings has whacked their credit assessment from whacked it from B- down to CCC, noting an increasing risk of defaulting on debt because either higher than expected debt service obligations or acceleration clauses in the government's external commercial debt. The S&P now estimates that Mozambique's net general debt is 90% of their gross domestic product for the year. What do you folks hope to accomplish? How are you going to help the people of Mozambique? What's your game plan?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think that we have to look at this both in the short term and the long term. So in the long term, what we're getting at are really big issues here. How do we promote responsible lending and borrowing? How do we promote public budget transparency, ways to make sure that the people who are impacted by these loans, the people who are supposed to benefit from these loans, like the people of Mozambique, are actually able to benefit from and know about these deals? That's huge. It's also important for investors. It's important for anyone who wants to invest in a country and to know actually, where that money is going and so forth. That's the long term. And I think we have an incredible opportunity in the long term because what we're seeing is now the IMF insisting on an audit. And we love audits. Audits are great. Audits are a great way to ensure, again, transparency and accountability. I think they're really critical. In the short term, though, because the World Bank and IMF have cut off this money, it's very likely that the people who will bear the brunt of that are the people of Mozambique, who, of course, had no role in any of these deals or any of the problems.
Right. Yeah.
So, we'd love to see, and I don't know exactly what it would look like yet, but I think we'd love to see some sort of short-term measures taken to ensure that they are not forced to bear that brunt. And I think that's open to sort of exploration, and I think we're going to see what happens today in Washington with the IMF and World Bank meetings with the president of the country. And I think get a better sense very soon about what can be done to make sure that we have accountability in the long term, but not a humanitarian crisis in the short term.
I'm going to go back to this article. I had it in front of me just a moment ago. Let's see. It was the original press release that was put out by Jubilee USA. Okay, this covers everything that we just talked about. So Eric says audits are important. He's echoing what you just said. Audits are important government accountability tools for citizens. We also need to see improved regulation in the global financial system that encourages budget transparency and promotes responsible lending and borrowing. How do you accomplish this?
So, I do believe one of the things that we've been working on for a while is how do you take principles of responsible lending and borrowing and basically embed them into international financial systems. So, from our perspective, again, it comes back to religious scripture. So we look at the principles of responsible lending and borrowing, and we say, they can be sort of boiled down to two of the 10 commandments, right? So thou shalt not lie and thou shalt not steal. Mm-hmm. And then how do we then flesh them out and put them into law? So we've created with Eric's role in the United Nations and in other settings a list of principles that we feel are important to basically promote responsible lending and borrowing. We've promoted legislation in Congress that would embed those principles in part into U.S. law, into our own funding, and to encourage them to be embedded into the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank.
How much money does the U.S. send Mozambique on an annual basis?
I don't know. I mean, I think this is primarily an IMF and World Bank issue, and I think that's the biggest piece of it. And then, of course, you know, the growing amount of African countries who are using the bond market, I think, is the other piece.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things we're working on right now as well is that the IMF has sort of a framework for how you figure out when a country's debt is sustainable. How do you determine that a country can actually pay its debt back?
Well,
and therefore,
I mean, let's look at the man in the mirror. We live in a country, you and I, that can't pay back its debt.
yes.
I mean, am I wrong or am I right?
No, you're right. I think the
so what makes us different from Mozambique? They can't pay their debts,
right.
and America can't pay their debts, but yet
right.
we're still considered fine, upstanding citizens, and people still see America as a safe haven place to put their money, even if it costs them money to buy our U.S. Treasury bills. Somehow they've been sold a bill of goods that's safe, that's good. And, you know, and I guess, thank God they have, because it's the only thing propping up our economy right now. The current administration has generated more debt for this nation than every president before him combined. I mean, this madness has to stop somewhere. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that, you know, I certainly believe that we want responsible budgeting and you know, spending in any situation in every country. I do think there are differences. I mean, these countries like Mozambique are in a much more dire position than the U.S. They have far fewer options. They're dependent on a small set of actors to loan money.
Mm-hmm.
They have very little power in the international financial system, and they have, you know, over 50% of their people living in poverty at sort of Mozambique poverty levels, and huge issues still recovering from civil war and so forth. So, you know, debt is a problem in developed countries too. We're seeing that increasingly with countries like Greece and other countries in Europe, but I think there's still a pretty big distinction in terms of the status and situation of a country like Mozambique compared to a country like the U.S.
Who's being blamed for this misappropriation of funds, and what is the justification being offered for it?
So some of these deals were done before the current president was in office. So he has, to the best of my knowledge, he has basically said that this was happening before I got here and I didn't know about it, and so it's not my fault, and how can we work it out? There's also been, you know, starting to become investigations launched into the banks themselves, who loaned the money, and what they knew and didn't know, and what level of responsibility they have. And of course, that's a big issue for investors, because if they knowingly sold, you know, loaned money illegally, because one of the issues here is whether these loans were not disclosed to Parliament in violation of Mozambique law. If these banks loaned money illegally, and they did it knowingly, and then they knowingly, you know, had people invest in that debt without disclosing that information, then they're very much on the hook, both for the debt itself and for their investors. So that's one of the big issues being looked into, and that's the other issue with these countries in these situations, is that you have transfers of power between governments. Who's ultimately responsible? And you know, when a president does this and then leaves office and the new president comes in, you know, when is the country on the hook for the actions of a past leader, especially one who may have acted illegally? And that's one of the questions that we have to grapple with and deal with these crises.
Hmm. And so there is meetings going on. According to the United Nations, Mozambique is the world's 9th poorest country. More than half of its population lives in poverty. Mozambique paid approximately $169 million in debt services in 2014, more than triple what it paid in 2011. According to Global Financial Integrity, the country, I guess that's some type of watchdog agency, Global Financial Integrity.
They're a think tank, yeah, and do very good work around corruption.
Okay, the country loses an average of $243 million each year to crime, corruption, and tax evasion.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got a big job on your hands.
yeah. These aren't easy issues, but I think what's encouraging is we do know how we can start to get at these issues. You know, there's even bipartisan legislation in Congress right now to make it a little bit harder to use our financial system to set up these kinds of fake shell companies to launder money, and then that includes money being laundered out of Africa and into the U.S. So, for instance, the son of the dictator of Equatorial Guinea was stealing his people's money and laundering it into the U.S., where he used it to buy a mansion in Southern California, and even paraphernalia from Michael Jackson's Beat It tour. So, you know, these are things that we can fix, and there's bipartisan legislation in the House and Senate that could do it, and we're really hoping that legislation can pass.
Now, is that the previous president that built the mansion and bought the glove?
It's the son of the current dictator.
The son of the current dictator. Okay, so you've used two terms, president and dictator. Is the true
Well, this was for
term...
Equatorial Guinea, so different country.
Oh, different country. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So I mean, it's a problem, you know, across Africa, and that was just the example I cited. But
I mean, hence the term, the dark continent. I mean, I've been there. I've spent time with the people, and some of the most wonderful people on the face of the earth. I remember when I first set foot, well, I flew into Entebbe, and that's a pretty oppressive place. I don't know if you've ever flown into Entebbe Airport. That's where the made-for-TV movie Raid on Entebbe was filmed back, gosh, I think when I was a kid, or in my early teens. I remember that movie Raid on Entebbe. But I flew in, and it is eerily quiet. You've never been to an airport like this in your life. There's not, you know, a bunch of Starbucks and all the. It's like this one building. It's one runway, and a lot of men in big black boots, and a whole lot of long guns, and hand grenades, you know, strapped to their belt. And you know how we go to the carousel here in America, and we stand there and grumble, and we look at our fancy watch 3 or 4 times, like, oh my gosh, where's my luggage, you know, and then finally he comes around on the carousel. When we got off the plane the first time I flew in, they took us into this, they herded us into this room with their long guns and hand grenades, and there was all of our luggage just like piled up. There's this mountain of luggage, and this guy goes, there's your luggage. And we all looked at each other and were like, seriously? And so we had to dig through it. I mean, you know, this one's mine, and we finally got our luggage. But as we got out of the airport and away from that whole scene, we'd just taken a 20-hour trip from Phoenix, Arizona to Kampala, and we just want to go to bed. But I mean, these people had been expectantly, you know, been expectantly waiting for us to arrive now for quite some time. And so I mean, they were marching with banners and singing songs, and oh my, it was very, very touching. And they immediately wanted to take us here and show us this, and then take us to the orphanage and meet all the children. And like I said, it was daybreak. The sun had just come up, and that's part of what made it so eerie. As I recall, the raid on Entebbe, and I'm flying into that very airport. And so we had no choice but to suck it up and say, all right, let's go. We all piled into the bus that we had rented and headed out to the orphanage. And what a grueling day that first day was. But every person I met, they were so happy and so full of joy. And I remember thinking to myself, doesn't this man know that his life expectancy is 43? And he's already in his mid-30s. Of course, I didn't voice this. This man doesn't know where his next meal's coming from. But he's got one of the biggest genuine smiles on his face that I've ever seen as he shakes my hand and introduces himself. I was just incredibly touched. And then I realized that I'm in a country, the Dark Continent, where people are starving to death. Thousands upon thousands are dying daily of starvation. Thousands upon thousands are dying daily because of a lack of clear, clean drinking water. And I reached down and I literally just scooped up a handful of dirt. And if you've ever farmed or if you've ever even had a garden, you know good soil from poor soil just by looking at it. This stuff was so black and so rich and so incredible, and I just stood there dumbfounded, tears streaming down my cheeks. God, how is this possible? How is it that this country is starving to death when everything that's needed, from the ground, from the soil to the sun to the daily rains, the showers, I mean, perfect conditions for growing crops. Right across the border in Kenya, we farmed 150 acres. We grew corn. The stalks were 12 feet in height. The ears of corn were the size of a man's forearm. We went in with technology and knowledge and farmed the countryside. Now, that sounds like a wonderful, warm and fuzzy kind of a story. But about 2 weeks before harvest time, it began to rain. Now, a daily afternoon shower is a pretty normal thing. Well, that second afternoon when it was still raining, we thought, well, gee, this is unusual, but it'll be really good for the corn, you know, really get a nice dousing before we harvest. 2 weeks later, it was still raining. It was now harvest time, and we couldn't even get into the fields to harvest our corn. We lost 75% of our crop that year. And so, you know, the Dark Continent, the fact that witchcraft has been practiced there for so many years, that there's more than just corruption from individuals, but there's also a spiritual battle being waged, I believe, for that nation and for those people. They are trapped in some type of bondage that I don't know that I can, that I'm qualified to explain or even to fully understand. but it's going to take something bigger than a microloan. It's going to take something bigger than locking up all the corrupt officials to bring that country out of the condition that it's in right now. What sort of long-term plans do you guys have? You know, China is buying up the land fast and furious style. Russia's not too far behind them because they need to feed their people. And when you go to China and you're choking on the pollution, and when you scoop up that handful of dirt, it's not so pretty. And so there's good and bad. The Chinese will create a lot of jobs working these farms. You know, I hope that they will pay the people a fair wage, but they don't even pay their own people a fair wage. So I kind of doubt that. What are your thoughts? I know we're running short on time here. So please, closing comments, thoughts, ideas, what people who aren't familiar with Jubilee USA can do to get involved, to, you know, our goal is to make this world a better place than we found it. We're a community of believers who trade for a living, but ultimately our goal is to make the world a better place. We're not traders just so we can build a bigger house or buy a faster car or smoke Havanas or get implants for the wife. We really want to make a difference. What can we do to support the efforts of Jubilee USA?
Well, I really appreciate that. You know, I think when we think about our work, we think about it in a couple of ways that I think are relevant to your question. One is these problems are massive, and I think the easiest thing for people to do, especially here in the United States, is just to say, it's too big, it's too overwhelming, I can't do anything about it. And I think that that's not what we're called to do by our faith. And so what we would say is that we can't control what every person in every country will do, but what we can do is we can influence the government that we have. And in this case, influencing the U.S. government also means putting a significant amount of influence into institutions like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. And so, you know, we are able to influence those organizations or institutions, I should say, because of who we represent in the religious communities and faith communities and religious institutions that we represent. And so if you're a member of a church, we'd love to have your church become a Jubilee congregation, as we call them, and you can find out more about that by
now. I have your website. I have your website up for those of many members of our audience. Just tune in to the audio stream. But many do log in so that they're able to see the charts that we put up throughout the program. So they're looking at your website right now. Point me in the direction of where they should go.
Great. So the first thing you can do is you can sign up for our email list by putting your email into the top. If you go to the Faith tab, that should take you to
Faith. Okay.
Yeah, it should take you to a link to
talks about talks about the vision. I don't see a sign up form on the Faith page. Wait, maybe it's down the side. Faith and worship resources, Christian resources, Jewish, Jubilee Sunday. Maybe it's on the action page.
It may be. You can also email us. I'm at andrew@jubileeusa.org. And you can always email me to learn more about that. The other thing is we do have an event in October where we'll be doing what's called Jubilee Weekend, which you can sign up for. I think the tab under Faith is Jubilee Congregations, and then it should give you more information about
Jubilee Congregations. Okay, I'm there right now. Jubilee congregations seek to grow the voice and moral presence of faith communities in the strength to break the chains of debt in the developing world. This program is a tremendous opportunity for faith communities to become more active in the fight to save lives and restore hope for the millions affected by the debt crisis. Jubilee Congregations aims to broaden and deepen the roots of U.S. faith communities in standing with our brothers and sisters in the developing world. Now, again, I become a Jubilee congregation. The spirit of Jubilee. Download the Jubilee congregation registration form. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I can see that there's a lot of information on the site here. And it is multi-faith. I see Christian resources, Jewish, Islamic, Jubilee Sunday, Jubilee Shabbat. Okay. Now you say Jubilee Sunday's coming up November 15th.
Sorry, no, that's probably outdated. There's a link on the website that's more up to date, but it's October 16th.
Okay, yeah, that was November of last year. Okay, yeah. So somewhere on the site they'll find that. Okay.
Yep, under events, there's a Jubilee Weekend 2016. We'll be working actually on payday lending and other sort of domestic versions of the international debt crises that we have. And the only requirement to sign up is just to sort of commit to doing one prayer in your community that weekend, and knowing that you're doing that prayer along with people of faith all over the country.
Okay. Well, Andrew, I want to thank you for taking the time to come and be with us today, and to educate us on what Jubilee continues to do. How long have you guys been an organization?
We'll be 20 years old next year, so we're getting ready for our big anniversary.
We are in our second decade. We just had our 11th year birthday, but it sounds better to say second decade, so.
Congratulations.
Well, listen, thanks so much, and say hi to Eric for me. And as you guys continue to make a difference in the world, because we have a common goal, and that's to leave this world a better place than we found it. So please, by all means, stay in touch, and we want to support you guys in every way that we possibly can. And so you've always got an open door here at CFRN.
I really appreciate it. Really grateful for the time and the kind words. It really means a lot.
Thank you, Andrew. Have a great day, and God be with you.
You as well. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye now. Bye. Okay, guys. We are blessed people living in a blessed land. Oh, we got our problems. Boy, do we. Now, my good words for the day are prepared in advance, and so I find it interesting that, as I've already told you, the topic of today's good word for the day is start giving to others. Now, I know what many people think. All them church people always got their hand out, always looking to get their hands on my money. Well, number one, it's not your money. Everything on the earth belongs to God. Now, the fact that he's kind enough to let you keep 90% if you believe in the biblical tithe, I think that's pretty awesome. I wish the government would let me keep 90%. Yeah, that'd be huge. I might be able to buy a bigger house and a faster car, but just kidding. Check them out, Jubilee USA. It's their second time on the program, and they really do try to help in ways that, You know me, I'm always going to treat everyone with dignity and respect. But their solutions to the problems don't always line up with my solution. But I want to give them airtime to share with you what's happening in the world, what they're doing, what their approach is, because it's very possible that your heart, your purpose, and your passion is more aligned with their way of doing things than it is with mine. The world's a big place. We serve a big God. And so that's why probably a couple times a year, now that we've forged a relationship, you'll be hearing from someone at Jubilee USA. So we thank them once again for coming on the show today. Luke 6:38. You've heard this scripture. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, every time you log into one of our webinars, it says, give and it will be given to you. Pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. Okay. I just got a text message from a guy that I go to church with. He is this incredible giant of a man. Big beard. I mean, he is a big guy. And I don't mean like overweight. I just mean he's a giant of a man. And he recently, he and his wife lost their child. It was quite sad. And I think I've told you that I prayed with him that day. And then he, the following week, texted me, and it caught me really by surprise, because when I pray for somebody, I actually move my lips and sound comes out. That might not be your style. I'm not saying it should be. I'm just saying I tend to be verbal. I'm not into these long flowing prayers with big words and the kind of stuff I'm talking about. But anyway, he had sent me just a text message the following week that says, brother, I can't tell you how much. Now, there were several that prayed for him that day, but he singled me out and he said, what you spoke over my life when you prayed for me, he said, that resonated. And he goes, I was feeling pretty bad when I came in the doors. But when I left, I had a different outlook, a different attitude. And so I want to encourage you, whenever you're in a situation that God speaks to you to pray for someone. Now, in church, of course, it's a little easier than in the grocery store, right? I mean, if you walk up to a perfect stranger and say, can I pray for you? They might call security. I don't know. But I have stood behind people in line, in the checkout line, and God would begin to speak to my spirit about the person in front of me. Now, either I'm half crazy or halfway to heaven. I don't know. And so, without moving my lips, I will stand there and silently pray for that individual, and I will pray for that specific need that that person has in their life that I feel God has spoken to me. I'm stuck in line anyway, got to do something. Might as well do something good. You never waste time praying for somebody. And what's so interesting is that quite often, as you're just really caught up in it, they'll turn around and they'll give you the funniest look. It's like they're facing forward. They have no idea who's behind them, but something gets a hold of them, and they know that there's something going on, and there's something going on in the spiritual realm, and there is power. I'm telling you, power in prayer. And to see them turn around and give me this quizzical look, I just smile and say, "How are you?" And they go, "Oh, well, I'm okay." And sometimes they'll say, "How you doing?" But usually they're visibly shaken. You should try it sometime. Now, I really digressed on this one. But the big burly guy, Sunday, you know how when you have that little time between praise and worship and when everybody sits down for the sermon, they tell you to go talk to somebody you haven't talked to today and shake hands and introduce yourself. And, you know, if you've ever been to church, you know what I'm talking about. Now, for some, that's an awkward time. You sit there and you stare at your shoes and you're just hoping the heck that nobody comes over and says anything to you or puts their hands on you. Or you've broken out of that shell and you aggressively go, you know, walking around the church and shaking hands and hugging and how you doing and looking people in the eye and all that good stuff. I used to hate it. I love it now. I just love it. Anyway, I go over to big burly guy and we don't say anything. We just do the Christian hug, you know, the one where with men, you know, the left shoulder touches the right shoulder. There's a slight embrace and you back away and that's it. I mean, after we did the shoulder hug, he said, "My, you smell nice." I was taken aback that time. Again, now, my wife had just the night before, she said, "Honey, why don't you ever use this cologne?" And I'm like, I don't know. There's so much stuff in that bathroom. I share a bathroom with my kids. We have a guest bathroom, which never gets used. My wife has the master bath. I conceded. And I share a bathroom with my two kids. And so I was wearing the cologne that she had found the night before when she said, "Why don't you ever wear this?" And I'm like, yeah, there's so much stuff. See, that's what when I say we're blessed people in a blessed land, how much stuff you got in your house that you don't use? You probably got boxes in your garage you haven't opened for years. I mean, seriously, we need to take time to stop and be thankful. And if you haven't touched it in a year, they say this is how you do it. If you haven't touched it in 6 months, you put it in a pile. Okay, you start a stack of stuff you haven't touched in 6 months. And if it's still in that stack 6 months later, it all goes to the Goodwill. You don't open the boxes, you don't start reminiscing, you don't start rethinking whether you're going to get rid of it or keep it, or it's gone. Less is more. I promise you. There's so much freedom in getting rid of excess baggage. It weighs you down. You know what I'm talking about. Give and it will be given to you. Luke 6:38. Generosity isn't just about money. Lots of people say, as soon as I get rich, I'll become more generous. But the greatest givers often have the least money. Grandmothers on meager pensions are sending a few dollars a month to help build orphanages. People barely making it are giving to feed the hungry. Retired employees are mentoring younger workers. Single people with limited resources are spending their evenings working with the homeless or families in need. No matter where you are financially, you can begin a lifestyle of giving. If you can come up with the money for a nice car, dining out, movie tickets, dating, and other leisure activities, chances are you can find something to give if you really want to. Jesus said, "Give, and you will receive." Luke 6:38. The amount you give will determine the amount you get back. Now, I'm going to say something here that, I've preached on this many times. If you give to get, you're going to be disappointed. All right? Now, I'm not saying that we aren't being taught a great spiritual lesson in this scripture here. Give and you'll receive. The amount you give will determine the amount you get back. However you measure it out, that's how it'll be measured out to you. That's in Malachi. I'm sure you've read it. I'm sure your preachers beat you over the head with that scripture more than once, okay? But what Luke is saying is true, but if the only reason you're giving is to get, then you miss the whole point of the whole thing. And you might as well just keep your stinking money, because it's not going to do you or anybody else any good. Don't give to get. Give to give. Give to give because it feels good. Become, as one translation puts it, a hilarious giver. You give without reservation because you know that God will meet all of your needs according to his riches and glory. See, that's what faith is about. Faith is not about what you believe, it's about what you do with what you believe. Again, faith, it's not what you believe, it's what you do with what you believe. Do you see the difference there? When God asked for that 10% on Sunday, he doesn't actually need your money. Yes, ministry costs money, and the church you attend does have to make their mortgage payment and pay their light bill and, pay the staff and all of that. So on a physical level, there is a financial need that has to be met. But you know what? If every quote-unquote church-going believer in America actually tithed 10%, there would never be any financial problems in God's kingdom. But people don't follow that. You see, the 10% that you give, it's a statement of faith. It's you saying, God, I trust you more than my job, more than the Ben Franklin on this bill that I'm getting ready to give. More than anything, God, I trust you. And I wish I had more to give you. My grandfather used to accuse my grandmother of giving away every dime he ever made. I don't think she did that. I think she was a very good steward of the money that he brought into the household. But he saw things a little bit differently than she did. So let's move on. If you want a bonus, if you want a blessing, start giving your time and treasure and talent to others. Jesus either lied or he told the truth, and you need to find out which. If you believe he told the truth, you'd be foolish to withhold instead of giving. Studies have revealed that in general, giving makes us happier, it's good for our health, it promotes gratitude, it increases connection and cooperation, and is even sometimes contagious. So start giving to others and see what happens. That's our good word for the day. And by the way, in case you didn't know, this Sunday is a national church holiday. It's called Back to Church Sunday. And I think that's what it's called. Back to Church Sunday. National Back to Church Sunday. Welcome back to church. Join a million others on Sunday, September 18th, and come back to church. U.S. churches, 29,317 are participating. Internationally, 1,500 are participating. The point is, invite somebody to church this Sunday. Participate as an individual. One day can make a difference. Churches of all types are coming together on September 18th, this Sunday, to invite everyone in America back to church. Across the nation, over 30,000 churches are preparing a special service and are looking forward to receiving new visitors. There is a church size and style that will fit you no matter where you are in your spiritual journey. Even if you've never tried church before, join your neighbors and come back to church. Backtochurch.com. So, to all those who live in the greater Phoenix area, I invite you to come to church with me this Sunday. If you already have a church, you're probably inviting people to come with you to your church, so I understand. But if you don't have a church, our church is called Church for the City. We're one church in 3 locations, Phoenix, Yuma, and Santan. I, of course, attend the Phoenix campus. And we're located just south of 24th Avenue and Baseline Road. We're actually on South Mountain Road. If you want to come, send an email to support@cfrn.net. I'll email you the exact address so you can plug it into your GPS or your smartphone, and I'll see you Sunday morning. Service is from 10 until noon. Thomas, who opens us up in prayer every Thursday night at the Partners Workshop, he will be there this Sunday attending church with me. And he's going to spend a couple days. And then he's back off to Florida. He and his wife were taking a little vacation, and since they were flying right over Phoenix on their vacation, he decided to stop off for a couple days. So if you can come, I would love to have you. Again, you can just Google it, Church for the City, Phoenix. and it's on South Mountain Road. In fact, if you come to church, we are right across from America's largest city park. That's how big this city park is, because I live about a 20-minute drive from the church. But as I look out my window, I'm looking right into America's largest city park. And if I drive 20 minutes to church, when I get out of the car, I'm staring at, guess what? America's largest city park. You can Google it. It's a true story. All right. So we've done our good word for the day. We have spent time with our guest. And David says, I tease my wife about some boxes she hasn't even opened since we moved 10 years ago. We have some of those too. We moved into this house in 2006. Yeah. We have some unopened boxes as well. All right, let's go giddy up style. Man, look at this thing. It's rocking. We got a swing high now of 40, 21, 40, 75. 21, 40, 75. 21, 40 minus 23. Well, that would be 17. Yeah. So we only gone up another 2 points. So I'll just $17 points available. Okay. So another 2 points from where I measured last time here to here. It's another $100. Okay. Now, this blue line, once again, is the 2015 high. I said today I would break out this week's weekly trading zones, and I will do just that as soon as I find them. Here they are. Okay. Now, we'll only do the ones that are, I guess, important is the proper term. 33. 34. Now, again, the blue line, not a weekly trading zone. So 33, 34, and then after that is 49.50. Okay, and then below 33, 34 is 2100. 2100, 2101. Now let's see if we touched that at all this week. I don't think we have. Oh, we did. Okay. The yellow arrow represents the Globex open Sunday night, and this vertical line represents when our Concierge Trade Alerts came out, and we said to sell 2107, and we had 1, 2, 3 opportunities to do that. And then we had the opportunity to buy 2120, and when I measured it, there was 13.5 points available, but as you can see, it went further. Now, 2149.50, you can see, all right, as we traveled from this zone, 2100 to 2101, the next zone up was 2133/2134. See how we consolidated for 1, 2, 3, 4, and part of this candle, okay? Remember, the most likely thing to happen at a weekly trading zone is consolidation. That's the market resting and making up its mind if it's going to shoot for the zone overhead or if it's going to just do the comfortable thing and return to the zone below. So price came down off of the Globex open Sunday night. We hit the zone. We hit the zone. We hit the zone again. And then we headed north. When we got to 33, 34, we consolidated. And then there was enough momentum in the market to cause us to actually overshoot, okay? Because the next zone up was 49/50. Now, these are 30-minute candles. Look at the wick. See, price tried to push up, but it got shoved back down. Price tried to push up. See, this was a full green candle at one point. I mean, it looked like it was going places, right? They got pushed down. Up, push down. Up, push back down. Up, push back down. Then we go into some consolidation here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Call it 2.5 hours. And look at how small the bodies got on those candles, okay? All right. And so the bears won that little tug of war, and we went down to the zone below. Almost got it here. Remember, zones are an area, just like fibs are an area. We got down to, the swing low was 21.35.50. The low was 30. So we came within 6 ticks. The low was 35.50. And that was 33.34. Oh, I see why that didn't look right. I need to get this on 34. There we go. Okay. And then we had a Concierge Trade Alert to sell 2140. And so from 2140 we dropped down to 35.50. So that was 4.5 points. Okay, that was good for the day. Then important prices, important areas are almost always tested. So if you didn't catch this one, then you had a chance to catch this one. Okay. Price got back above the trigger. Down we go again. It takes us to the zone. Okay. And we bounce off the zone and we spend some time here. So we can't call this a hot knife through butter. This really is more of a consolidation type of a move. Not a lot, not like this, but consolidation. Okay? All right. Now, the next zone down was all the way at 2100/2101. So we did not get there. Now, we can figure out why in a private mentoring session, and I'll help you understand a little better why these types of things happen. Okay? We got about halfway to the zone, and then back it goes. Okay, so then we had all of these moves. Then we had a buy at 21.23. You know what I'm thinking? We rolled over Friday. Yeah, so that's right. Never mind. Just thinking out loud. I didn't move my lips though. 21.23. All right. We only got up on this first move to 34.50. Okay. The second move took us to where we are right now. 17 points and climbing. Boy, that thing. This looks to be a pretty safe trade right here. We're at 21.44. We got 5 points to the zone overhead. So if you're looking for a trade, that's about as good a one as you're going to find. In fact, you're 43.75 already. Okay. The S&P short that we had this morning never triggered. Consider being, I'm giving you guys a trade here. Consider being long 21.45 to 21.49. 2-point stop. S&P short never triggered. Consider being long 21.45, 21.49, 2-point stop. Okay, so risking 2 to try and pick up 4. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay. All right. Now I got to get a move on. Like, okay, these were fibs here. Not fib retracements, but fib extensions. And that's something I will teach you as well as we spend time together in private mentoring sessions. 17. You know, I'm not going to have time, I don't think, to get all of these. There just won't be enough time in the day. Let's cover the trades, and tonight I'll get the new zones on. I'm really sorry, but we're just out of time. I didn't think I would spend as long with the guest as I did, but I did, and so that's it. All right. All right, let's get to the Dow. Okay, the alerts went out at 9:15, so we're going to call it 21:30. So when I put the line in, it's 15 minutes after the alerts went out at 21:30. So let's find 21:30. Big red candle. 21:30. Okay. 21:30. Be a seller at 8.95. A buyer at 18.005. Okay. $17,895. Yeah, I know, I forgot. Oh, man. Now I'm paying the price. $17,895. This was just enough to get you in trouble, wasn't it? Oh, it was. Oh, that's horrible. Okay. Now, I could have just glossed right over that, but that wouldn't be fair, would it? It wouldn't be honest, and it wouldn't be transparent. And those are, I can't promise you I'll always be right, just that I'll be honest and transparent with you. Okay? That's the foundation of our relationship. So sell 17,895. $17,895. $17,895. There it is. Okay. Swing low was 882. So from 82 to 15, that's 13 points. Now, how many points does it take to make your daily goal of $100? If that's all you're after, it takes 20 at $5 a point. So obviously you don't get out at the exact swing low. I'm actually amazed that's 13 points, but from 95 to the low at 882, that's what it is. Okay. All right, the buy side on the Dow was 18,005. Stop it. Nice, perfectly straight line. 18,005. Okay. So, I'm gonna buy. Now, based upon what I will teach you in private mentoring sessions, okay, the amount of risk necessary to take this trade when it finally triggered here, see, this candle closed here, it opened here, and it went here. The amount of risk that was required might have been too rich for some, okay? And so it might have been a walkaway. Or it could have been a stop out. On this trade here. Now, if you go into a smaller time frame, such as a 5-minute, you might find a different picture. Of course, we don't have time to do that, but I can tell you that this also might have been, well, actually, this falls into the parameters of trying to do some calculating in my head. Okay, so yeah, I'll tell you how far it went. It went 160 points. But for many, it would have been a walkaway. Too much risk involved. Okay? Remember, our goal is not to be perfect on every trade. Our goal is to assess the trade properly and determine how much risk is required and what type of reward might we expect from the trade. Now, you could have a situation where the potential reward is $1,000, but the risk is $600 or $500. We'll keep it at round numbers. Let's say you got to risk 500 to make 1,000. Now, obviously, if we knew for a fact that it was going to go all the way to the target, I think most people on any day ending in Y would risk 500 to make 1,000. But the thing is you don't know it's going to go 1,000. And I'm just using round numbers for an example here. That's why I send you 8 markets, 2 trades per market, so that out of those 16 trades, and because the trades often repeat themselves again and again and again, just like here. This one, okay, triggered, didn't really go anywhere, but then it got below the trigger and triggered again, okay? Now, you might sit there and say, God, that's such a beautiful trade. But based on what Dwayne's taught me, I need to risk 500. And I think the trade has the potential to deliver $1,000 in profit. But my own personal risk profile says that the most I'm going to risk on any one trade is $300. And so while it's a good trade and it may go off without a hitch and it may actually make the $1,000, that's okay. You'll find your trade that fits your risk profile, okay? And as your account size grows, your risk profile will grow. So there might have been a time when you could only risk $100 per contract. And then you could risk $200 per contract. And then as you continue to grow your trading business, you are able to risk $300 and $400 and $500 per contract. Okay? You cannot trade without a live stop. If you do, you will hurt yourself badly. And I don't want to see anybody get hurt. Okay? So, you either had a shot at 160 points times $5 a point, or you felt that the risk was a little too much and you just passed. Okay? It's okay to pass because, again, you have 8 markets. You have, and they're not all triggering at the same time. It's because some people are going like, oh my God, I can't watch 8 markets at once. You don't need to. Because when price is in this range here, you don't need to be watching the Dow because it's going to take some time for it to get to this trigger or to get back down to this trigger. Do you follow me? Now, maybe you only want to trade the S&P. I would say, okay, but in a private mentoring session, I'm going to also follow it up with why. Well, because everybody says that's the one you should trade. Why? Well, because it's got the most liquidity. Okay, that's a true statement. Have you gone live yet? I have. And how many contracts are you trading right now? Well, I'm only up to 2 at the moment. Okay. So you're locking yourself into only one market out of concerns for liquidity. And about that time, the light bulb goes off and they go, oh, I see. Now, there's something to be said for learning to trade and to spend time practicing in the market that you are going to ultimately trade in, okay? Michael has been doing his best to integrate trades into S&P trades into the live trading room. It just doesn't present as many opportunities as some of the other markets. Now, is it attractive from a margin standpoint? Oh, absolutely. The S&P, the Dow, the Russell, the NASDAQ, $500 per contract. No arguing with that. In fact, I wish everybody had the Russell data so that I could put the Russell back in the mix, but I can't, and so we don't. All right, let's get out of here, move on. Gold. All right. The alerts went out at 9:15, so that means we're going to put our marker at 21:30. 15 minutes after the alerts went out. Is it 21:30? Yeah. Okay. 21:30. All right. On gold, we said to consider selling 1322. All right. GGCZ. Going to be buyers 30. All right, buy 1330. Swing high was 3250. $250 per contract available. Okay. All right. Now, on the sell side, so 1322. All right. So much easier. Get the hang of it, dude, Mr. Dude. $13.22. Okay. Important prices, important areas, almost always tested. $13.22. Man, that stings. Look at that. The swing low was $21.80. Went 2 ticks over the line. Okay. So what does that mean? It means you got stopped out. If you took the trade, okay? Now, the risk on this trade might have been a little rich for you. And so it's possible that you didn't take the trade. So, in fact, if you're a relatively new trader, it's probably a walkaway. If you're a more experienced trader, it's probably a stop out. Okay? All right. Next, we put in a swing low at 13.12. Okay. So 22 to 12, that would be, if it had gotten to 12, that would be $10 or $1,000 per contract. But it didn't quite get there, did it? Nope. So I can't play my little gee whiz file. That's all right. $990 per contract available. And then important prices, important areas. Going to swing low at $19.19, so let's just call it 20. Let's be conservative and round it up. And we'll make that, let me fix this first. All right, $200 is what was available in this. So if you didn't get it all, still got your daily goal. Okay. All right. And then important prices, important areas. It gets tested and triggers again. This time it drops down to 21.1. No, that's not true. The low was 17.40. So if it was 17, or no, let's do it the other way. The low is 1317.2. Okay, so 17 to 22 would be 500. So it's 480. For $480 per contract available. Okay. and then swing high on this candle, 1321. Is that possible? The high is 2190. So it didn't go quite high enough. We needed to go a couple more ticks to get above the trigger to activate this trade. So that didn't happen. So that's the deal. Bonds. Okay, 2130. All right. $21.30. All right, on bonds, ZBZ6, sell 165.09. Yeah, I know. I just drug it across there. I gotta get finished. Sell 165.09. Okay. Now, bonds pay $31.25 per tick. So, to meet your daily goal, if you're trading the 2420 blueprint, you need 4 ticks, okay? And so, the swing low here, $165.04. So that's 5 ticks. So that's $150. 4 ticks is 125. 5 ticks available. Okay. And then over here, the low here is 164.17. So 32 minus 17 plus 9 is 24. Ticks available at 31.25 per tick. Now, it takes 32 ticks to make a grand. 24 times 31.25, $750 per contract available. Reminder partners meeting tonight. In order to get into the meeting, you need to be a partner. And so if you want an invitation, Michael sent you an email, how to become a partner. That email got all garbled up. It looked like somebody put it through a shredder or something. Anyway, if you're not quite sure what it takes to become a partner, then send an email to support@cfrn.net, and we'll get you out the information you need in an ungarbled format, and you can take care of that. There's still time to get signed up and to get your user ID and your password and all of that issued to you, plus your indicator set and everything you need so that you can come and participate in the partners meeting tonight and begin your mentoring process. A few hours a day, Monday through Friday, for 3 months. And then if you want to stay connected to the Vine, you just simply let us know, and for a minimal monthly fee, you stay connected. Nothing changes. You still get the weekly trading zones every Monday morning. You still get the link to the link and password to the live trading room, as well as the workshop on Thursday night. I mean, literally everything stays the same. Now, whether you continue on or not after 90 days, it's entirely up to you. Some people, you got their wings and they can fly, and they can't really avail themselves to all of the features. And so, they own the indicator set for life, and so they're set for life. They learn the strategy, they own the indicators, and so they just make their money, when they have time to make their money, because their schedule may not necessarily fit our schedule. However, they committed themselves to a 90-day period of time where they made sure they had 2 hours to come to class every day. But once you own the indicators, and once you understand the very simple strategy, there's only 5 steps. Long trade, bullish cross, price pulls away, price pulls back, up close, by the open of the next candle. Once you learn that, short trades the opposite. Bearish cross, price pulls away, price pulls back to physically touch the VVC, down close, sell the open of the next candle. Okay. Once you do that, you're set. Now you can drive. Okay. If you still want to come to class, you still want to hang out, that's awesome. That's how our community has grown so large, because people do like the camaraderie. We all know trading's a bit of a lonely business. It's you and a computer. 165.09 down to 164.24. So 24 and 8's 32. So 9 and 8's 17. 17 ticks available per contract. Okay. So 2 really nice opportunities there on the bonds. All right. What do we got left? God, we got a lot. Crude. I don't have time to right now. I told you I'd have them done today, but it's so busy last night. Where are the crude zones? That's not them. There we are. What kind of a low did we have this week so far? This is that today. We're staring at the lows today. And we're sort of in between. So let's, for now, at least get the Concierge Trade Alert up. Last night, 21:30. It's the second little candle. $21.30. Okay. Now, on crude oil, we wanted to buy 43.85, which happened right here. $43.85. That's it, right? $43.85. Okay. So buy $43.85. Okay. Now, swing high is 44.05. Okay. So that's 20 ticks at $10 per tick. So I'm just going to write it out as $200 per contract available. Okay. Okay. So we're back and forth, not enough to get stopped out. It does another 200 right here. I don't got room to put it all. Guess I could stretch it out. Create some real estate. Okay. So this one came right back up. It started here and ended up here. So that's another 200. And now this one from 85 made it all the way up to the high of 44.21. So 21.31.36. So that's $360 per contract available. All right. And this one, the high was 44.34. 44.34 minus 43.85. That is $490 per contract. Now, if you worked your way up the ranks, now let's say you've gotten to the, let's just say you've gotten to the 4 contract level. No. Let's say you've gotten to the 20 contract level, because I really want you, to understand the power of making $100 a day. That's 2 points in the S&P. I want you to understand the power of making $100. But when you're trading 20 contracts, that translates into $2,000. Now, if you lose 2 points, yeah, that will happen. All right, so then you're down $2,000. Okay. This is why we don't let you go in and just start trading 20 contracts if you have a whole bunch of money, because if you got stopped out on your first trade, you got whacked for $2,000, man, you would go nuts. This is why we're so insistent that you follow the procedure, trust the procedure will take care of you. Okay? I really mean that. But there are going to be some of you who don't want to stop growing your business at 20 contracts. You're going to want to add more contracts, and on these Concierge Trade Alerts, you know, when the trade runs $490, okay, and you're trailing, let's say you're trailing your stop by $50. Okay, that's $450 per contract. $450 per contract times 20 contracts, that's $9,000. Okay? From here at the trigger, now remember it ran 490, but as it began to pull back, you were trailing pretty tightly with a $50 stop loss, so you got taken out, not with 490, but you got stopped out with 450 per contract. That 450 per contract times 20 contracts, that's $9,000. How was your day at the office, honey? It was good. How was your day? You know? Now, again, I don't need to build a bigger house. My goodness. My wife and my 2 kids, we live so comfortably here in this house. And once my kids are grown and move out, and we become empty nesters, what in the world are we going to do with all this space? I've been to countries where people, the closet, and trust me, we don't live in a McMansion by any stretch of the imagination. This is not a McMansion. This is simply a newer home, and by newer, it's 10 years old now. Time flies. In a subdivision overlooking America's largest city park. No, there are no Ferris wheel and bumper cars. But I can see us spending, of course, you know, we have dreams of going to Ecuador and doing some different things. But my goodness, the two of us, just me and her, once the kids are gone, bumping around in this big old house by herself, wow. I have been to countries where families, their entire house, it's about the same size as my wife's walk-in closet. That's not me bragging. That's me pointing out how often we as Americans take for granted how blessed we are as a people. And I don't want any member of this community to ever forget that. Okay, things may not go the way we like, you know. Government may force us to pay our employees more money. Government might make us give them health care. Isn't it a wonderful thing that you get to own your own business, unlike in Cuba, where you can't? If you have a business, the state owns it. Isn't it a wonderful thing that you get to provide your employees health care? Now, some will appreciate it and some won't. Deal with it. It's a fact. It's how it's going to be. Some will be tickled to death. It'll be the first time in their life that they've ever had health insurance. And they can walk into a doctor's office with their head held high and then pay their deductible, whatever it is. And because they'll be able, in most cases, to get in on that affordable health care. Now, if Donald gets in, he says he's going to do away with it. If she gets in, I don't know what she's going to do with it. But stand by. I hear premiums are going up. I don't know how they can go up anymore. I pay $1,100 a month, and I have a $5,000 deductible. The year's almost over, and the clock resets. There's no carryover, right? Like, I didn't quite make my deductible this year, so I get to carry it over to next year. No. January 1, the clock resets. Now I got to spend another $5,000 on medical care, plus $1,100 a month in payments. And that's just for me and my wife. By the grace of God in the state of Arizona, my children, because we adopted, are covered by the state health insurance until they're 18, 21 if they go to college, and I think 25 if they go to graduate school. So, I don't know. I'm trying to get done here, and I should quit belly aching about health insurance. But it concerns me. It really does. All right, we're on crude. Crude, we said to sell 43.55. That was reality. I did it. All right, 43.55. $43.50. $43.55. $43.55. He did it. Yay. All right. On this pullback here, you did not get stopped out. The swing low is here. Let's sell 43.55. Sell 43.55. Okay. All right. The low here. Come on. Is 43.32. It's 55 minus 32 is 23. $230 per contract available. Low here is 43.26. 55 minus 26. Is that 19? 55 minus 26 equals 29. There we go. So $290 per contract available. Really? There we go. Okay. All right. That takes care of crude oil. Next, soybeans. Soybeans, you got stopped out on both sides yesterday. So let's go to 21.30. Okay. And we wanted to be buyers at 28. Sellers at 09. What did I just say? We wanted to be buyers at 9.49 and sellers at 39. 49 and 39. What do you got? What do you got? 49. And we're going to be sellers at 39. And 39 never happened. Okay, I didn't see your question. I'm sorry. Oh, I guess Michael saw it and answered it for you. Okay. So, all right. This is supposed to be 9.49. I didn't know he was hanging around this time of day. Thank you. Appreciate it. 949 up to 953. So that's going to be 4 points. 4 points per contract available. Okay. Now, just like the S&P, soybeans pay $50 per point, $12.50 per tick, 4 ticks to a point. So you got $50 a point, just like the S&P. So you need 2 points to reach your daily goal. So 4 points actually equates to $200 per contract available. Now, we don't get out at the exact swing high and the exact swing low. Why? Because we trail our stop, and so when this began to pull back, but it got below the trigger and it gave you another trade right here. The swing high on this one was 52, and so we were buying 49. Is that right? Yeah. So from 49 to 52, swing high, 52. So that's $150 per contract available. Okay. Now on the sell side, 39 didn't happen, so we don't have to worry about that. NQ, let's go. Whoa. Well, somebody put a B in the NQ's bonnet. A. All right. So 2130. And on the NQ, buy side was 47.44. All right. NQ, buy 47.44. $47.44. Okay. Important prices, important areas. You know the drill. 47.44. All right. Buy 47.44. Okay. Now, this first little bump took us up to 53. So that's 9 points. Nine, 9 points available per contract at $20 per contract. I'm the only person on the face of the earth that could take shorthand and turn it into longhand. Okay, so that's that one little guy right there. And then we get below the trigger and we run up to 58. So 58 minus 44, that would be 14 times 20 would be $280 per contract. The reason I throw it at you in different ways almost every time is because I want you to become accustomed to calculating in your head the dollar amount. The NQ pays $5 a tick. There's 4 ticks to a point, so it pays $20 a point. So 9 points would be $180 per contract, whereas 14 points would be $280 per contract. So I get a lot of cards and letters, and they say, well, what would it take to make $1,000 in the NASDAQ? Well, that would take 50 points at $20 per point. And so if you take 47.44, all right, 47.44, and then if you add 50 to that, that's 47.94. No, don't you do it. 47.94. Okay. So, oh, you're kidding. That's why I haven't played any of my sound files all day. Because I don't have my little play toy. My little Android phone. Gee whiz! What happened that time? That's how it goes. $1,000 per contract available. Everybody follow that. 44 plus 50 points is 94. 47.94. Okay? It's $1,000 per contract. But it had more get up and go. It got up and went all the way to 48.2675. So I'll just take 48.26. 48.26 minus 47.44, and that's 82 points. Okay, I'm going to write that down. 82 points available per contract. Okay. It's what the market made available. We didn't make it available. Now, the amount of risk that this trade required. Oh God, you gotta come into a private mentoring session with me so that I can show you how this works. 82 times 50. 82 times 50. Oh, that's not right. 82. What am I doing? 82 times 20. Wake up, Dwayne. 82 times 20. It's $1,640 per contract available. $1,640 per contract available. That'll put some pep in your step. Now, here's the deal. May I call you Neil? Okay. Oh, I forgot there's a Neil in the audience. Hi, Neil. We have a rule of thumb that says anytime you make $1,000 per contract in one instrument in one day, you take the money and walk away. Okay? And the market's sitting there going, hey, no, wait, come back. That's not fair. Give us a chance to get our money back. You keep walking. Don't look back. Don't do it. You might turn into a sack of salt. Because if you go back to the platform, you know what's going to happen. Well, yeah, I might make another grand. Yeah, you might. But statistically, what's going to happen is you're going to return a good portion of that money to the coffers of the CME. That's what's going to happen. So, which is better? To go home with a gee whiz in your pocket times the number of contracts that you were trading? And by the way, this instrument here, the NASDAQ, it only costs $500 per contract to trade it. So you still got to earn your way up the ladder of success. But to trade 10 contracts, you only need, well, you need $5 grand in your account for the purpose of trading. Now you have to have overage to cover you on drawdowns and stop outs and whatnot. So I like the 1.5 rule. Some people are more comfortable with the 2 times rule. So let's say you're a NASDAQ trader and you're at the 5 contract level, okay? Actually, you only need 2,500. 500, no. Yeah, if you're at the 10 contract level, you only need, no, if you're at the 10 contract level, you need 5,000. Yeah. If you're at the 20 contract level, you need 10,000. Okay. But you got to have some overage for drawdowns and stop outs, but not a lot more, because if you're in a trade and there's a flash crash, you know, bad things can happen. Does it happen often? No. Has it happened in the past? Yes. Could it happen again? Yes. They're going to make you sign papers saying you accept that risk. Okay. Trading's not easy, but it can be simple. We do everything we can to make it as simple as possible, and that includes making you aware of how much money you should have in your account at any given time. It makes, if you're trading 2 contracts in the S&P, who are you trying to impress by having 50 grand in your trading account? Don't do it. Okay? They can't take what's not there. $1,640. That's what was available. Okay, if you're a 10 contract trader, that's a $16,000 day. If you were smarty pants and ignored the rule of thumb. I don't advise doing that, but I know that some people do. And sometimes it works out for them, and sometimes it doesn't. Now, if you put your indicator set on, where's the exit? There isn't one yet. Well, yeah, but there's a red candle below the MA1. Yep, but it's above the step line. See, your first warning signal is when the step line crosses on the south, on a long trade, when the step line crosses on the south side of the MA1. That's your, sit up, pay attention. But then look what, the next candle just puts you right back into the safety zone. Okay? And so you're fine here, and you're fine here. Now, if this red candle had extended down and closed below the step line, Or if this current candle that we're on right now, if it were to close below the step line, that would be the price that you exit the market. Okay? But until you have a red candle close below the step line, if you've chosen to stay in the trade, well, there's no sense in getting out right now. You might as well stay in it until the market closes, which isn't too very long from now, because you could pick up, who knows what a little rally might get you. I'll leave it at that. The indicators have not provided an exit from that trade. All right, Russell. You want to Russell? What the heck did I do? Okay. 2130. Where are you? Big red candle. Okay. That's 15 minutes after the alerts went out last night. And I know not everyone has the Russell data, but some of our concierge clients do, and some private equity clients do. So 2130, the alert goes out. Actually, it went at 2115, but it's a few minutes. The Russell, you're going to buy 1209. Actually, you're going to sell 1206, which is right here. Okay. Let's get a straight line. I couldn't do that little thing because the line was too long. All right, so that's 1060. I need 1206. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Now, it was during this 30-minute candle at quarter after that I sent out the alerts, and then this candle opened, and bang, it fired right away. Sometimes that happens, okay? You guys kept asking me to give you some trades that would fire right away, so ask and you shall receive. If it's within my ability to do so. Except that's supposed to say sell. All right, sell 1206. Okay, and the swing low is 1201.1. So if it was 1201, that would be $500 per contract. But it's not. It's $490 per contract available. The Russell pays $100 per point. Pays $10 a tick. There are 10 ticks to a point. And, you know, all that lingo about ticks and points, and if you're new, it can seem overwhelming, like, oh my God, how am I ever going to remember all this? You don't have to, because number one, it's written down for you, and number two, you're only going to trade 2-3 3 markets at the most. And so you only need to know the lingo that applies to the market that you're trading. All right? Now, the alert said on the Russell to buy 1209 as well as selling 1206. I mean, 1206 sent you to bed pretty happy. Then you woke up and said, dang, why didn't I stay up a little bit longer and catch the action at 1209? Nope. Got to delete that. Right click, paste. Well, 850. 1209, right on the money. Buy 1209, okay. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. The first run up from 1209 ran to 1212. It ran to 1212.1, but we're just going to call it 1212. So that's $300 per contract available. We trail our stop. So we're never going to sell the top or buy the low. Okay? Don't even try. We throw you back out. Okay, price gets back below the trigger. Off it goes again. This time puts in a swing high of 1213. Okay, so that's $400 per contract available. All right. And I'm going to need a little arrow action. I could have done this, I suppose. Okay. And then the trade with the least amount of risk puts in a swing high at 1223. 1223.80. Okay. So 2380. $1223.80 minus 1209 equals 14.8. $1,480 per contract available. Okay. $1,480 per contract available. If I had my little noisemaker, I'd say, gee whiz, what happened that time? But I don't know where it is, so I can't play it. Now, since the Russell pays $1,000 per contract, 1219 is actually the place where you would make a grand. And anytime we make a grand in one instrument in one day, the rule of thumb is to stand up and walk away. 1219. It's going to be right there. $1,000 per contract available. Now, you could have been in this trade last night for the cost of $1. That's all the trial costs, $1. And I send you all 8 markets, every trade that I've showed you here today. If you had paid the man the dollar yesterday, you would have gotten all these trades in your email last night. And I recommend that you trade them in Sim until you get, really in the flow of trading them. We're always very cautious with your money, okay? And in fact, I think I'm more careful with your money than I am with my own money. I should take a lesson from myself there or something. Aggressive risk management, all that kind of stuff, it's so important. It's what the people who are in the 10% line versus the people who are in the 90% line, it's because they understand something about capital preservation and how important it is to finishing the game well. Okay? All right. Except it's not a game, it's a business. The more you treat it like a business, the more it will behave like a business. The more it behaves like a business, the more business-like results you're going to get. And that's what you want, isn't it? I mean, if you want a weekend junket to Vegas, then go that route. A lot less headaches. But the beauty of learning how to trade is that once you learn, nobody can ever take it away from you. It's like driving, okay? Somebody many years ago spent a lot of hours, and a lot of patience, maybe a couple of bruised shins, and they taught you a life skill. Now you can go anywhere in the world and drive, although it's confusing when you got to drive on the wrong side of the road, but it's the law there, so you got to do it. You can drive a car. You could be a truck driver. You could be a race car driver. You could drive for Federal Express. You could drive your spouse crazy. Bottom line is you've got a license to drive, okay? And nobody can take that from you. Well, I take that back. If you get pulled over for a DUI, the state will take back your license to drive. But my point, and I know you get it, is that once you learn how to trade, truly learn, nobody can take that from you. It's yours. And what's beautiful is it's portable. You carry it around with you wherever you go inside of your head. And if you have a nice laptop with an additional monitor, you can go anywhere in the world. And if they have a fast, reliable, robust internet connection, you work just like you were in your office, just like you were in your home, wherever it is you trade. The key is a computer with plenty of RAM, as fast a processor as you can afford. If you can afford an i7, go ahead and get it. If not, an i5 will do the trick. Load it up with as much RAM as possible, and then get one external monitor. And you're good to go, okay? Because the actual knowledge, yes, the indicators are inside of your platform, but the knowledge of how to place and execute the trades, that's something you carry around upstairs, okay? All right. I think we've covered enough ground that we can move on. In fact, I think we're done. The ES went wonky. I thought for sure that thing was going to travel to 12.49, but it 21.49, but it didn't. Isn't that something? We already covered the Dow. That was awesome. If you took it, you might have walked away. Oh, let's see. Gold. Money on the long side, money on the short side. Bonds, money on the short side. Crude oil, money on both sides. Soybeans, money on the long side twice. NQ, a Gee Whiz, almost two of them. You got a Gee Whiz and a half. Oh, the NQ. Yeah, that was the NQ. The Russell, Gee Whiz and a half there. So what a great day. If you want to become a partner, if you want to be in the partners meeting tonight, if you want to be in the mentoring program, respond to the email that Michael sent you, or send us an email, support@cfrn.net, or call us at 949-42-EMINI. 949-42-EMINI. I would give you my number. Well, I'll give it to you anyway. It's 623-500-1355. But I'm going to be tied up in mentoring sessions all afternoon. Then I have to do the invitations to the workshop tonight. And then I got to do the Concierge Trade Alerts. And then I have the actual workshop itself. So I'll be busy, but hopefully Michael has a few minutes that if you do need something, he'll be able to help you out with that. I know that if you don't leave a message, he can't call you back. Sometimes I talk to people and they like, you know what, I'm pretty upset with you guys. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, why? And they go, I called you 10 times this week. I go, you did? Yeah, this is number 11. I go, oh, my God, I'm sorry. Did you leave a message? No. Oh. You called 10 times and you didn't leave a message. No, I didn't. Oh. Well, I'm sorry, sir, but if you don't leave a message, we don't know who's calling and we don't know who to call back. And then there's a pregnant pause, silence. How can I help you? How can I help you today? Please leave a message. We want to help you. And if you leave a message, we will call you back. And if you leave a message and you don't get a call back, it's only because there's some confusion between Michael and I as to I thought he called and he thought I called kind of thing. So don't be afraid to call back and leave a second message. See, those kind of calls really get action. Hi, I'm calling for the second time, and I left a message the first time, and I didn't get a response, so I thought maybe something happened, but this is my second call, and I'm leaving a message again. My problem is, or I need help with, or could you, or would you, whatever it is, whatever reason you're calling, just spit it out, okay? And a lot of times we can fix it before we even call you back. And leave a message. That's all I'm trying to say. If you want to take the Concierge Trade Alert, now, if you become a Concierge client, if you sign up quarterly, You also get access to the live trading room. You get access to everything that a partner gets access to. It's just that you have to renew every quarter. So, you can decide how you want to do it. But our goal is to teach you to trade so that, just like driving, you are set free. Okay? Because once you know how to trade, you're not relying or depending on anybody or anything to earn a living for you. Don't ever have to worry about getting fired or laid off or any of that stuff. Because you go into the marketplace each day, and you don't do battle and you don't slay dragons or any of that other stuff. The market is your business partner. It's a neutral force. It doesn't know if you made money or lost money, nor does it care. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a way that you should be relieved to know that there really isn't a conspiracy, that they really haven't bugged your office, and every time you go long, the market goes short. We all go through that stage when we first start trading. Man, I don't know, but somehow they know. Right. Trillions of dollars are traded in the market each day, but you trade that one contract and somehow they find it and they come get it. We know it's not true, but we want something to blame it on other than ourselves. And we shouldn't be blaming ourselves, because it's not a business about right or wrong. It's a business about thinking in probabilities and executing high probability trades. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to become. And so we're here to help you any way that we can. Just reach out and I will meet you back here again tomorrow. Okay? Thank you very much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-host and guest. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.